Imagine waking up to discover that you've done something unthinkable, something you don't remember, something you couldn't have intended to do. For a small number of people, this nightmare becomes a chilling reality. Today, we're diving into 3 shocking cases where individuals accused of murder claimed they were sleepwalking at the time of the crime. Welcome to my channel. My name is Chrissy, and I typically discuss things that are strange, mysterious, and creepy. If that interests you, then please subscribe or follow me. If you enjoy this video, please hit the like button, leave me a comment, or share this video with a friend. That really helps out a small channel like mine. Okay, now back to today's stories. Unbelievable? Yes, but in each case, the courts agreed, and the defendants walked free. Here's what really happened. In July 2008, Brian Thomas and his wife Christine decided to take a vacation to the Welsh countryside. The couple, in their late 50s, had been together for decades. They parked their camper van for the night, locked up, and fell asleep. But the next morning, Christine was dead, strangled to death inside the van, and Brian Thomas was the only possible suspect. When the police arrived, they found Brian in tears, hysterical, repeating the words, "I thought she was an intruder." He had called emergency services himself, confessing that he had killed Christine in his sleep. To investigators, it seemed absurd, an intentional act covered by a wild story. But there was more to Brian than met the eye. It turned out that Brian had a long history of sleep disorders, specifically night terrors and sleepwalking episodes, going back decades. Friends and family testified that Brian had been seen performing complex actions while asleep, cooking, leaving his house, even driving short distances without waking up. Medical experts were brought in to analyze Brian's condition. They concluded that on the night of Christine's death, Brian had been having a vivid night terror. In his dream, he believed an intruder was attacking his wife, and in a sleepwalking state, he strangled her, trying to protect her. The prosecution dropped the charges. The judge declared Brian Thomas not guilty of murder, acknowledging the involuntary nature of his actions. Experts confirmed that he had no conscious control during the attack. Brian was released, but he left the courtroom a broken man. He had lost the love of his life to himself. In 1987, 23-year-old Kenneth Parks from Toronto, Canada, seemed like an ordinary young man. He had a stable job, a wife, and a baby daughter. But under the surface, Kenneth was crumbling. He was deep in debt, losing sleep, and stressed to the breaking point. On the morning of May 23rd, Kenneth woke up to find his mother-in-law dead and himself covered in blood. But here's where things get strange. Kenneth had driven 14 miles to his in-laws' house, strangled his father-in-law unconscious, and stabbed his mother-in-law to death. Afterward, he drove to a police station, still in a sleepwalking state, and confessed to what he had done. Kenneth claimed he had no memory of the attack, and his family testified that he was a chronic sleepwalker. But could someone really drive a car, unlock doors, and commit such violence, all while asleep? To answer this, doctors performed neurological tests, which revealed no signs of intent or mental illness. Brain scans confirmed that Kenneth had indeed been sleepwalking. His body had carried out the actions, but his mind had been completely unconscious, a phenomenon known as non-insane automatism. The court agreed. Kenneth Parks was found not guilty of murder. The judge ruled that Kenneth's sleepwalking episode, triggered by stress and a known sleep disorder, meant he was not criminally responsible. The case made international headlines and remains one of the most extraordinary acquittals in legal history. The story of Albert Tirrell is perhaps the most famous early case of the sleepwalking defense. In 1846, Tirrell, a 22-year-old man from a wealthy Boston family, was accused of brutally murdering his lover, Maria Bickford. Maria, a young sex worker, was found in her bed with her throat slashed so severely that her head was nearly severed. Tirrell was the obvious suspect. He had been seen with Maria the night before, and shortly after the murder, he fled town. Tirrell's defense team, led by renowned lawyer Rufus Choate, argued that Tirrell had committed the act while sleepwalking. At the time, this was a groundbreaking defense. The lawyers pointed to Tirrell's history of sleep disturbances, arguing that he had entered Maria's room in a somnambulistic state and killed her without conscious intent. Eyewitnesses testified that Tirrell had exhibited strange behavior during his sleep for years, including walking around the house and even mumbling to himself. After an intense trial, the jury found Tirrell not guilty. They believed that the murder, as brutal as it was, had been committed without conscious awareness. This case became one of the first successful uses of the sleepwalking defense in American legal history, and it set a precedent for future cases. These cases force us to grapple with an unsettling question. If someone kills while asleep, are they truly responsible? For the victims' families, the answer may never be satisfying. But for the courts, the sleepwalking defense remains a rare and complex legal gray area. If anything, these cases remind us of the terrifying mysteries lurking in the human mind, even while we sleep. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into true crime and unusual defenses, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Leave a comment below. Do you think the sleepwalking defense should be valid in murder trials? Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and sleep with one eye open.